Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by. Today I want to talk about the Fujifilm x100vi. I got this in a little over a week ago and have just really enjoyed using this camera, and I just wanted to talk about my user experience with this camera. This isn't going to be really like any tech specs, like so that's not going to be this video. This video is really more just like a conversation about my philosophy of use for a camera like this and how it fits into my day-to-day life. So if that sort of thing interests you and you're just chilling, you have a cup of coffee in your hand or whatever, and you just kind of want to hang out and listen to me ramble about a camera, then let's hang out and nerd out about cameras and stuff. So if we haven't met, my name is Tyler Edwards. I am a filmmaker and photographer based out of Charleston, South Carolina, and I primarily shoot on, well, I shoot on all kinds of different camera systems, but camera systems, all the camera systems that I shoot on, Red and Blackmagic and Canon, my Canon R5 II for stills. Anytime I pick one of those cameras up, I immediately go into work mode. And I touched on this in another video about the Nikon ZF, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But I immediately go into work mode, and that's great when I am at work and I'm on set and I'm doing client projects. Like, that's the mode that I should be in. But that's not the mode I should be in when I'm around family and friends and just walking around town casually or traveling. I don't want to be in work mode when I pick up a camera. I want to be in fun mode, travel mode, friends mode, whatever, like just non-work mode. So it's led me on this quest over the last couple of years to find a camera that like kind of that fills that void of a camera system that I'm not going to use for work and only going to use for play, that is a fun camera user experience wise to use and to shoot on, but also something that's just not going to get in the way of having an enjoyable time with my friends and family and travel and all that kind of stuff. And beforehand, I said the Nikon ZF was that camera for me, and in many ways, I still think it's a better camera than the Fuji x100vi. In some ways, I think the Fujifilm is better, but one thing that I've been chasing, and I didn't realize it until I got this camera in, was chasing the experience that I had with my original Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, the OG Pocket, like people like to call it. It was a camera not too dissimilar in size and footprint from this camera. It was a camera that I just absolutely, I took it everywhere, and like travel and like family events and all that stuff. I brought it everywhere because it was just an enjoyable camera to use. It had such a tiny footprint. The battery life was terrible, but it was just like I had a couple batteries with me, but it was just a great camera to use. And I realized that like as soon as I got this camera and I started shooting with this camera, both some video, but mostly stills, I had been chasing that experience that I had with the OG Pocket for all the things that I listed for. And although the Nikon ZF was such a different camera system to use that I really liked, in fact, I was really close to actually buying one, I'm glad I held off until I got this, because I realized that experience that I was chasing is really kind of been like satiated with this camera system. So real quick, what do I really like about this camera? Like, first of all, the user experience, just like the tactile feel, like in the old retro design, like all that is really nice. But what I really like about this camera is this viewfinder right here. It's like this hybrid optical viewfinder where it's got this like rangefinder kind of feel, but it also has this like HUD display that shows you where your focus points are and some information. And then you can also switch it to like full EVF mode, which is really cool, or a mode where like the EVF is like at the very bottom right hand corner to kind of preview the picture that you're taking, which is like so cool and so unique. Now, the other thing that I really like is this little lens adapter here. So when you get the camera, it's actually only, the footprint is only like this, it's tiny. It's really cool. But one of the things that kind of really shied me away, or like just disinterested me in the X100V and the X106 initially, was the fact that it was a fixed focal length 35mm equivalent field of view. Although I like 35mm, it's honestly not my favorite focal length for like street photography and walking about, family photography, like not portraits, family portraits, but just like everyday life. I like a wider field of view, 24, 28mm, somewhere around there. I was watching some YouTube videos and saw that there is this little adapter that screws onto the front of this lens and basically gives it a 28mm field of view. And it doesn't really add that much in the grand scheme of things, and doesn't really make the camera feel like that unbalanced. But now I have this wider angle field of view, which I really like. I this pretty much just lives on the camera, honestly. Like, I've taken this off a couple of times to get that 35mm field of view equivalent, but most of the time I just leave this thing on, and since there's a 40 megapixel sensor in here, plenty enough room to crop in on the image and get a tighter frame if I want. And the fact that it has an f2 aperture means you can still get some really nice background blur on some images, which is definitely another bonus. Now, real quick, I do need to pause and thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Motion Array. Motion Array has got all kinds of digital assets, music, stock footage, and all that stuff. But just recently, they introduced their new AI voiceover feature, which is really cool. And it's really great. It's really great to have something like this in your toolkit. Maybe you are auditioning a script and you want to put voiceover in it, or maybe you just don't have budget, or your client doesn't have budget to hire a voice actor and voiceover artist. You can utilize something like this to just add a little bit more value and that little special sauce to your videos. And I actually use AI voiceover in a pretty unique way. And basically what happened was I was working on a doc project for a client of mine over the summer, and I think we had like 7 or 8 interviews total, and we had filmed 2 less than whatever the number was at the time. And I had already transcribed everything and kind of had a script, and so I started to piece together the video that from the different interviews that we had, and kind of piece together the edit that I felt like would be a good way to go. We were going back and forth on the script with the client, but we were still missing those other 2 interviewers. And so what I did is I used AI voiceover and just put in like just a general script of what could fit in different parts of the video from those interviewees that we haven't yet interviewed, and just put those in overlaid B-roll and just sent it to them with like huge disclaimer, this is not them, obviously. It was a way for them to kind of conceptualize and like see the project kind of come together without interviewing them initially. And what it also helped out with was we could be way more intentional about what we wanted to ask them, so that we can kind of fit it into the story that we had already kind of developed through this editing process. So that's just another like interesting, unique way that I've personally used AI voiceover to just kind of get an idea of how a project can kind of come together. So if you are interested in learning more about it or signing up, use the link down in the description below, and I believe you can save $50 on your plan. There are different plans depending on your needs, so use the link down in the description below to figure out what plan is best for you. So big thank you to Motion Array for sponsoring this video. Now back to the X100VI. Now there's another really cool thing that just kind of blew my mind, and that's the fact that it has an internal ND filter. I think it's a 4-stop built-in ND filter, which is super cool. Like for video, that's amazing. That means I don't have to constantly put on ND filters and take them off and all that kind of stuff for getting some casual video where I don't want to shoot at f16. That's pretty cool, and you can shoot in f-log2. Haven't done a ton of video with this camera just because my mindset for this camera and for daily life has kind of shifted more towards stills, just because I just love photography as a hobby, and my dream of becoming a travel filmmaker has come and gone. So I take more stills while I'm traveling than video these days. Now, from a photo perspective, the image quality is incredible. And I mean, we've seen images on this. I mean, this camera's been covered heavily on, especially on this platform. And yeah, the image quality is great. The skin tones that come from this camera, just straight out of camera, just the JPEGs, look so freaking good. And like, it's like the perfect density. And I don't know, I really like how it looks, but this is all subjective. Some people may prefer other cameras. I don't know that I've met anybody that like hates how Fuji images look, because I think a lot of people agree that it just looks really good. And the fact that it has the 40 megapixel sensor just means there's a lot of information in there, so you can crop in and post and all that if you need to, especially on the raw images. But again, pretty much this camera is just like a JPEG camera mostly for me, that I don't want to have to spend time editing my photos and just for print, like printing out like a photo album or something for family. I just want to take the JPEG straight off of it and just send them to a print shop, go to CVS or something and just print them out there. And that's what I like about this camera. Like, this, it's just a really fun, enjoyable camera to use that doesn't get in the way and just is, you know, just really fun. And the JPEGs look amazing. Otherwise, it's just like an enjoyable camera to use. The menu system was definitely not enjoyable to figure out. I wish there was like an info button you could press to get more information about a certain setting or whatever, because some of the menu items, I have no idea what they mean. And yeah, but I honestly, I just like set a couple of the recipes in, leave it on auto white balance, and just go for it. So if you are a seasoned Fujifilm shooter, don't hate me in this video. I'm just learning this camera, and I don't plan on learning this camera inside and out, just because I just want to like turn the camera on and take a picture. So that's pretty much it. That's just like my first impressions experience with this camera. I think I've touched on everything that I want to talk about. It is a really great camera, and I think it's a really great camera at its retail price. I think paying $500-600 whatever dollars over, I mean, people are spending $2,000 and $3,000 on this camera, and it's not worth that. Like, I think it's priced pretty competitively, especially like because it has really good video quality as well, really good video features, and like the built-in IBIS and stuff. Like, I think its price point is, I mean, it's worth, I mean, anything's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it, I guess. I would not be willing to pay $2,000 or $3,000 for this camera. That's one of the reasons why I never got the x100vi, because I just didn't think it was worth the price that people were asking, and the fact that people are overcharging that much just because it's hard to find, like, that's really stupid. So I guess to prevent that, stop buying this camera really at a price point, because I don't think it's worth anything more than what it's priced at. And then, you know, the little adapter, get them used and save some money. But at its retail price, I think it is a fairly priced camera, and I would recommend it at that price, but I would not recommend it at any other higher price point than that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know this is all over the place. That is how a lot of my videos go, but again, this was just more of a hangout, chill, let's go chat in the comments. And yeah, it's a great camera. All cameras nowadays are really good, so it's just a matter of what features in a camera check the boxes for you. And this camera has checked all the boxes for me for my intended use of this camera. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.